I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. A major disruption averted today after postal workers backed down from walking out, but there's still a possibility of escalating strike action. Plus, Canada Revenue Agency cuts up to 280 permanent workers due to financial restraints. A major prisoner exchange between Russia and Ukraine begins today following direct talks between the country last week. Thanks so much for joining us. An ongoing strike threat at Canada Post could push more customers away. A major disruption was averted today after the union representing some 55,000 postal workers backed down from a walkout, but there's still a possibility of escalating job action. The Crown Corporation says customers may face delays as some 55,000 postal workers swear off overtime shifts. They've been told to refuse any work beyond 8 hours in a day and 40 hours in a week. In the meantime, the union says its negotiators will continue to review Canada Post's latest contract offers. The Better Business Bureau is warning Canadians that in the event of a postal strike, they may see an uptick in scams and fraudsters. BBB says in the latest postal shutdown, they saw an increase of phishing scams via text and email messages, with fraudsters pretending they were Canada Post. Businesses are especially warned to be on the lookout for fraud delivery notifications that request credit card, banking, or account information.
So you'll get a text from, let's say, somebody that's pretending to be a delivery company saying that they have your package and they'd like to deliver it, but they need you to hit this link so they can continue on to get the information they need to deliver the package. It's all scam. They're just trying to steal, like I said, identity and possibly credit card information or any other information they can get from you. The bottom line with this is people should always be very wary of clicking on links from unknown senders. And even if they think it's somebody they know, be wary of that.
Victims of phishing scams can contact the police, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, or the BBB themselves. A potential strike at Canada Post has Lethbridge County encouraging residents to sign up for e-bills. Haley Pinkson, the Director of Corporate Services with Lethbridge County, says payment deadlines remain in effect regardless of postal delays.
It's encouraging people to kind of sign up with e-billing and just allowing for online access to ensure that information should continue to be shared and provided with our residents. So they can call our office to connect with us if they have questions or need help. If they're comfortable with signing up for e-billing, that's probably the best option in terms of ensuring that they have all the information that they need. But definitely reach out if they have questions, and they can connect on our website, and we will be posting lots of information in the upcoming days as we learn more about the situation and how we can best support our residents.
To register for e-bill, you can also visit the website. Canada's new energy minister paid a visit to Calgary today, speaking to oil and gas executives at a Calgary Chamber of Commerce luncheon. Tim Hodgson repeated some things that Prime Minister Mark Carney had said before the election.
The old economic relationship with the United States is over. We need to accept that. We need to prepare to compete as Canadians on our terms. Prime Minister Carney has laid out a clear strategy. We will be masters of our own home. We will not bow to economic aggression. We will defend our workers, our industries, and our values. To be strong, we need to build things in this country again. We will make Canada a true, conventional, and clean energy superpower. Your federal government's door is open. My door is open. I want you to bring your ideas. I want you to bring your ambitions. And together, we will build.
We're willing to work with the government. We want to see big projects built. We want to see Canada succeed. And now, I think to what the minister said, we're looking for results. And so we'll be eager to participate in that work that needs to occur. But I think actions are really what we're looking for.
The town of Coaldale held a groundbreaking ceremony for a new revitalization project on a major skate park. The project will be collectively funded by the town, the provincial government, and the Kinsman Club of Coaldale, totaling $1.2 million. Additionally, the park's basketball court and playground will see upgrades. MLA and Associate Minister for Water, Grant Hunter, says the province is happy to support through the Community Facility Enhancement Program to further support growing community. A new Leger poll shows that more than half of Canadians understand why the province of Alberta might want to become an independent country, but more than 3 in 5 say they don't want that to happen. Sébastien Dallaire, Leger's Executive Vice President for Eastern Canada, said the survey suggests that there's a level of empathy for Albertans.
What we see in the survey is there's a level of empathy for Alberta right now and for Albertans. So people outside of Alberta, it's a majority who say, we get it. We understand why Albertans are frustrated right now. At the same time, they don't think it's a good idea for Alberta to leave because obviously it has big consequences for the country. If you're in BC, it means the country would be split in half from your perspective, where you're separated physically from the rest of Canada. If you're elsewhere, you know it opens up a can of worms. If one province leaves, then it may open up more discussion about, of course, Quebec possibly also wanting to do the same, or other provinces. Albertans are very divided on the issue. There's no other way to look at it. We see that there is significant support for at least trying to shake things up. I mean, we're measuring a result right now that shows that Albertans are almost evenly divided between being favorable or unfavorable at the idea of leaving Canada. However, we know from what happened in 2 previous referendums in Quebec that those numbers tend to move quite a bit once you get into the details of what does it mean, how would it happen, how would it work afterwards, how would we conduct a referendum. So when you get into the mechanics of it all, sometimes opinions shift. So is this really a hard level of support at this time? Probably not, but it's a clear indication that there's a potential for the movement to really gain a strong foothold in the province, and it's something to really keep an eye on, and something that should be taken seriously by the national government, but also by other provinces and then by Albertans themselves.
That poll was based on surveying about 1,500 people. The province of Alberta has announced funding to create some new teams to battle wildfires. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services Mike Ellis says almost $7 million is being invested into the creation of 6 new wildland urban interface teams. Ellis says when the province declared a state of emergency to battle wildfires a couple of years ago, and also during last year's fire in Jasper, they noticed a gap in firefighting.
We have the folks that do an excellent job when it comes to structural firefighting. We have the folks that do the wildfire firefighting, but there seemed to be a bit of a disconnect, right? So when a wildland firefighter is approaching a municipality or some sort of structure, we had to make sure that we have that interface. And so having the ability to have not only the 2 teams that we had, to have 6 more teams, strategically place them throughout the province so that they can be deployed wherever a crisis occurs is fantastic.
Ellis says the 6 new teams will be located in Strathmore, Hinton, Slave Lake, Lac-La Biche County, Key-Tos-Kee-Now Tribal Council, and the Kananaskis Improvement District. The 2 existing teams are based out of Clearwater County and the town of High Level, Alberta. Alberta Finance Minister Nate Horner says the leadership of the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees has not been forthright with its members. After breaking off negotiations, 22,000 AUPE members who work for the government voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike action. The government says it has offered a 12% wage increase over 4 years, the same deal that other provincial public sector groups have agreed to. AUPE, however, is demanding a 29% increase in 4 years, and Nate Horner tells BCN that increase would cost taxpayers greatly over the course of time.
Well, this table represents 22 or 23,000 employees in various sectors. The essential services agreement covers about 6,000 of those workers. But as far as what they can expect, if the union does choose to strike, then the government will have to look at what their options are if we're to proceed with a lockout or some other mechanism to try to, minimize any disruptions to society. If we did agree to the terms that AUP last communicated with us and applied them across the entirety of the public service, we'd be talking about, something in line of the entirety of the Heritage Fund in cost, or the entire K-12 budget for multiple years. So this has a dramatic impact to, potential impact for Alberta taxpayers as well. But as far as the GOA's perspective, we know we're offering fair deals. We have the market data to back it up, and we hope that union leadership sees that.
The Alberta government is helping the veterinary medicine faculty at the University of Calgary to continue to expand the work being done at its diagnostic laboratory. The lab will get $3.1 million this year, part of $9.5 million over 3 years that was promised in Budget 2025. Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, R.J. Sigurdson, says it will help Alberta farmers and ranchers do what they do best.
Their care for their animals, the time and commitment they put into every one of their operations is reflected in the high quality product that gets put out in Alberta. And there's nothing this province and our producers hold highly more than animal health and wellness. And today, this announcement goes a long way to just that, and opening up more opportunities for research and continuing to make Alberta the best place to raise a family and to farm and ranch and to do veterinary medicine.
Sigurdson says the funding will help the laboratory retain highly skilled staff and expand its ability to test for more types of infectious organisms and support disease investigations. The Canada Revenue Agency is cutting up to 280 permanent employees. It's in response to financial restraints after the CRA examined its operating budget over the last 2 years. The CRA says the job losses mainly are impacting employees in the National Capital Region, and executive positions are also being impacted. Earlier this month, the Union of Taxation Employees announced that the agency would not renew contracts for more than 1,000 term workers across Canada. The Conservatives have gained another seat in Parliament. A judicial recount in a rural Newfoundland riding has put Conservative Jonathan Rao ahead of the Liberal candidate by 12 votes. Previously, Liberal Anthony Germain was ahead by 12 votes, which was a narrow enough margin for Elections Canada to trigger an automatic judicial recount. The win earns the Conservatives a third seat in the province, while the Liberals have 4. Thursday, when the G7 finance ministers wrapped up their meeting in Banff, Alberta, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne outlined the ministers' very serious discussions around the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
We have reiterated our support for Ukraine against Russia's illegal invasion, including to ramping up sanctions if necessary, and to support efforts to foster private sector participation in the recovery and in the reconstruction of Ukraine. We also agree that no one who supported the Russian war machine will benefit from reconstruction efforts in Ukraine.
And today, a major prisoner exchange began between the two countries. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says the first phase of the exchange is bringing home 390 Ukrainians, with further releases expected over the weekend. This is one of the few signs of progress from the country's direct talks last week in Istanbul. The negotiations were part of U.S.-led efforts that so far has failed to produce a ceasefire in the 3-year-old war. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened a 50% tariff on all imports from the European Union starting in June as his tumultuous trade war with the world continues. On social media today, Trump also floated the idea of a 25% tariff on Apple products unless iPhones are made in the U.S.
Trump says he wants to charge higher import taxes on goods from the EU, a long-standing U.S. ally, then from China, a geopolitical rival that had its tariffs cut to 30% this month so Washington and Beijing could hold negotiations. Trump was upset by the lack of progress in trade talks with the EU, which has insisted on cutting tariffs to zero, even as the president has publicly insisted on preserving a baseline 10% tax on most imports. In response to Trump's tariffs on China, Apple CEO Tim Cook said earlier this month that most iPhones sold in the U.S. during the current fiscal quarter would come from India, with iPads and other devices being imported from Vietnam.
The threats delivered over social media reflect Trump's ability to disrupt the global economy as markets tumbled following his posts. A special day today at Lethbridge Polytechnic. The first graduation convocation was held since it transitioned from Lethbridge College. Around 750 students received their degrees, diplomas, or certificates. Jaden Houston, who graduated with a diploma in agriculture sciences and agronomy, also received the Governor General's Academic Award.
There's a lot of very intelligent people here at the institution, so it's quite surprising that I was selected to receive that. Now that I do have my diploma, is to jump into my last 2 years here at the college.